Hello, and welcome to Body of Knowledge, where we research how the body helps make knowledge. Yeah. So, first things first, I'm super excited. I was at the grocery store and I found this cola. I don't know if this is actually healthier or not, marketing, but it has reishi, chaga, and turkey tail mushrooms in it. And it does have a little bit of that nice cola taste that I love so much. This is not sponsored. It's just, better than drinking a Coca-Cola. Last week's success went to my head. That little video I did had almost 200 views, and then, oh my gosh, it is so easy to get caught up in the algorithm game. And then I was like, oh, maybe I should actually think about what I want to talk about instead of just talking about it. And then I got bored and unmotivated, and I had this idea that I was excited about, and the more that I worked on it, the less excited I was about it. And then I got confused because I was doing grading and then trying to organize it. So this video is now probably going to be worse than it would have been if I had just talked off the cuff. What I want to talk about today is how we fail to the level of our bodies. What do I mean by that? Well, if you watch or listen or read in productivity spaces, you might have heard that we fail to the level of our systems. And there's something about that made a lot of sense to me. Maybe it's because of my Mercury in Virgo. I don't know. But I was, last summer it was so hard health-wise. And then for finals, I got myself not quite back to that space health-wise, but not into a good space health-wise. And then I got the flu. And so then I immediately just really wanted to put systems in place so that I wouldn't fail. I just got into my head, in the grand scheme of things, having lost a couple of weeks of time to not feeling well, it wasn't great, but it's not a huge deal. But I was treating it like a huge deal. And then the moment that I got better, I forced myself into the office and I tried to force these systems into place. And I spent most of last week in bed with a really horrible headache and really horrible inflammation. And I lost so much time, and I'm still kind of struggling, and that's why I'm doing this video right now, because I'm like, don't read, don't think, don't get on your computer, don't research. And I was laying on the floor, and I was like, what am I gonna do? I was like, I'm gonna film an update video. Today is also the first day in 3 weeks that I went to the gym, and I noticed a difference in how I approached both restarts. With the gym, I didn't go. Why have I not been in 3 weeks? I was sick, and then last week I was just struggling, and then there was another week somewhere, and then I was also Thanksgiving week. The gym was packed, and the day before Thanksgiving, I went into the gym and I walked right back out. So I was like, you know what? It's fine. if I don't go right in the new year when everyone's hitting their resolution reps. So today I went in and I was like, I haven't been feeling well. I am constantly on the verge of triggering a multi-day headache, so I'm gonna take it easy. I immediately downgraded all of my weight to what I had been lifting back in August, just kind of preemptively taking a step back, and it was easy. And the first set, I was like, I don't know about this. Maybe I shouldn't have backed down so much. But then by the end of the workout, I was having fun, and it just clicked in my head, this is the point right now. Not to necessarily build strength right now, but after 3 weeks away, to come back and have fun so that I want to go back tomorrow. So that I'm not sore for days because I lifted the same thing that I lifted 3 weeks ago and haven't done much since. Whereas last Monday, getting back into the office, I immediately was like, I'm gonna get 5 to 6 hours of work done, and I need to do this every day, Monday through Friday. And by capitalist standards, that's barely acceptable. That's 25 hours of work a week, and I got so into my head, and I forced myself to do it. And by the end of Monday, I felt the beginnings of a headache, the same that I had been having in the past. And so Tuesday, I was like, okay, I'm gonna iterate a little bit. What if I break up the 5 hours more? What if I start with reading a paper book at home and then go to the gym and then go to the office? So my plan was to do 2 hours of reading at home, and by the 4th Pomodoro, the headache was setting in, and I don't know why I didn't stop, but I was like, just 15 more minutes. You gotta do it. I said that in that voice too. Do it. Read. And I ended up feeling horrible. My entire body just got totally inflamed, headache full force, and I just immediately had to go to bed. And so last week I got about 7 hours of work done when I had been trying to get 25. And so I'm thinking about that idea of we fail to the level of our bodily systems. And so I had a lot of time to think and reflect. And so I was thinking okay, if that is my current baseline, failure, rock bottom, 7 hours of work, I have a lot of thoughts, and a lot of it is me trying to make sense of things. But I was thinking about part of why I was saying Monday through Friday, 5 to 6 hours, is I was trying to have work-life balance. And then I was thinking about what is work-life balance, and how it was created as a way really for us to have time to be consumers, to have time to spend money. How retirement age is getting pushed further and further. And so thinking about how can I actually make this sustainable, and maybe it's not so much about having days off, but doing less more often. So what I'm experimenting with now is doing 1 to 3 hours of work a day, and that even if I only did the minimum of that 1 hour, I'm failing to the level of my body as are in a more sustainable way that doesn't leave me in bed for days. And so I forced myself to stop at 3 hours today because yesterday, I'm also recording my Pomodoro sessions. When I was a musician, one of our teachers made us do a practice log where we had to track the time we practiced and what we spent it on as kind of a record. And so I'm thinking about this in the same way. And so I forced myself to stop because I got six Pomodoros done, and I feel like I could push myself further, but I've also felt on the verge of a headache all day. And this is so important because yesterday I did 5 minutes of reading before I had the headache come in. It took a couple of hours for that inflammation to recede, and then I did about 17 minutes of writing and revising, and that kind of did me in for the day. So I'm forcing myself to work with what's going on now, and it's interesting. On Saturday, I have a friend who started, I didn't bring it with me to my office. I wanted to show it off. I have a friend from school who started something called Sick Futures Collective, and it's sort of an online space. I'm not sure what it's going to evolve to be. I think she has a podcast and she has a website, and on Saturday they did a zine making workshop where they mailed out some zine making supplies, and then we all got together for a couple of hours and did a zine about our embodied experience. And it was Sick Futures Collective is for sick and disabled people. And I have a very hard time with positioning myself in that space. I have PTSD, chronic PTSD, and it impacts my life in enormous ways. And yet there's a part of me that is like, you're not sick. But also with symptom tracking and looking at the things that have been going on, this is a stress response that I'm like predisposed to because of a chronic stress disorder. And thinking about how many days in the last year, I might start crying actually. Thinking of how many days in the last year I spent in bed, it is, hard to say otherwise. It's hard to pretend that I'm perfectly happy and healthy. But the reason I brought that up was not to cry. It was just because it made me think about a lot of things. It was a large group of people. It was sick and disabled people, and then also people just there to support and be allies. And a couple of ideas came through quite a few times. The first being that sick people, disabled people, are in touch with their bodies in a way that able-bodied people just are not. And so thinking about disability justice studies and thinking like it's not just about accommodation. It's about knowing that disabled people actually have access to knowledge that other bodied people often don't have. And I don't even think that it is suffice to say that able-bodied people take it for granted. I think that they just are, they don't even take it for granted, they leave it. So the idea that sick and disabled people have something to actually offer is really important. when thinking about how does the body make and produce knowledge. Just the access to the nuances that are happening in the body on a moment-to-moment basis is incredible. And then the second thing that came up from a few shares is something that I've been grappling with too, is like, do I want to spend days in bed? No. Do I want to have PTSD? No. Do I want to struggle with my day-to-day life? Absolutely not. And also, I wouldn't be here now in this positionality without all of these experiences. And I like where I am. I like the work that I'm doing. I like this life that I'm building for myself. And so this kind of, I'm not going to go as far as to say gratitude for my experiences, but acceptance of them as part of this greater gestalt. Like in a cake, I'm not really grateful for the salt that's in there, you know, but the cake's not going to be the cake if you don't got that little sprinkle of salt. So just kind of thinking about it that way. And honestly, like, it is my positionality that I think is what helps me have something to offer to the field. My first semester of embodiment studies, as I was thinking about and exploring like what is the body, and I was talking about the mind-body split, I had a professor who just like over and over and over was like, there is no mind-body split. The mind-body split is false. You've got to get that out of your view because it's not real. And I spent basically the entire semester just using my own experience and then also using other scholars' research. Specifically, I think I pulled Antonio Damasio's work to show that especially in cases of trauma, there actually is a mind-body split. Like when I dissociate as a survival strategy, that's a mind-body split. I am not in my body. And I've experienced some traumas where I had tonic immobility and I couldn't move my body, and there was a split happening right there. And so there's a lot of people who, obviously there's a lot of people who valorize the mind. Like we live in this Cartesian world, and like people take it for granted or whatever that the mind is the ruler. But in embodiment spaces, there's a lot of people that valorize the body, and my professor was one of those people. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. Like there have been times that my body has felt like a prison. Like my body has felt like an enemy. My body has felt like a foreign entity, a mystery. And the mind-body split is certainly not the default, but it does exist sometimes. And I wouldn't be able to argue that point so vehemently if I hadn't had the lived experience. And I know other people have had that experience, and so I think it's important for someone in academia, for someone writing from this positionality, to also have the positionality of saying, we feel to the level of our bodies, and sometimes our bodies are split from our mind. Okay, I'm going to do a little pause and look at this outline that I made to see what else I have to say, if anything. I wrote that the being a sick or disabled person or traumatized person, I'm struggling with the language of that because I'm grouping myself in and I don't know where I fit myself in. But it's like being a canary in the coal mine. All of these people who say that they don't need to take care of their bodies, that they can push through, that they can override, etc., etc., they're also going to pay the price, be it a year, 10 years, decades down the line. And so me living with this every day, all of us who live with this every day, we're the ones that are saying there's something wrong and we need to do it differently. And today I was watching a YouTube video. If I remember, I will link it. I think her name is Lady of the Library or something. And she was talking about like the aesthetics now, or what was it? Something about like romanticizing study isn't gonna save you or something, and how there's all of these videos of students putting in 10, 12-hour days. And I guess she had done some research saying that that's not helping them, in that it can lead to OCD and it can lead to burnout. And in fact, the comments were full of people saying that they're burnt out and tired and, had recidivism that they haven't gained back, which is kind of how I'm feeling and trying to resist. So I'm trying to think of practically, what does this mean? Practically, it means that I want to live a flourishing life, not a productive life. So I'm not, I am not wanting to rack up milestones and achievements so much as design a life that feels good. Like, let's say retirement goes away and I have to work forever. That's a big possibility, right? That could definitely happen. Okay, how can I set myself up so that I have something that I am still excited about 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, no, decades later, how can I still be flourishing? And I am not feeling that way now. Like when I wrapped up my master's, that should have been such a celebratory experience. I should have been so happy. And instead I just wanted to sleep, and it's like tainted now because I was so burnt out. I was so exhausted. And then like going back to the question of like, if the world is animate, then how do we approach research? Well, if the world is animate, then my body is animate, and I should treat it like a living thing, which it is a living thing. So with care and respect, knowing that we are in reciprocity. And today was interesting because I was really tending to my body the whole day. So a couple of things that I've added, so trying to do symptom tracking with my practitioner, it's looking like I might not actually be making enough cortisol now, which is one of the many problems. So trying to do things that can increase cortisol production. So getting out into the sun first thing in the morning. I did get myself a sad lamp, I think that's what they're called, because let me tell you, going out for some sunlight when it's below freezing, that's fresh. So I got myself the sad lamp so that I can set that up. A lot of things I've been doing already are the recommended treatments: breath work, journaling, light exercise, not overdoing it, not doing like HIIT exercises, that's actually not good. And then supplementing right now with adaptogens, which, I love my herbal supplements. So more mushrooms. This one doesn't have ashwagandha. That's one of the good ones. In any case, This does. This has ashwagandha in it. And then I got another separate one. What else? Sticking with my plant-based diet. Really trying to help not have this inflammation build up. Like, it is so bad. Like, even right now, like, my core is just so hot, and it wakes me up in the middle of the night, and I can't sleep because, like, just, like, my liver is so hot. And, like, you know, if I try to take the blanket off, then my limbs are super cold. And anyways, yeah, I'm just trying to cool myself down. Yeah, I know I'm getting lost and confused. But today I just approach things much differently and have just constantly and consistently been checking in. How am I feeling? And it's surprising what things are leading to fatigue. Another surprising thing is how hungry I've been. I think part of the reason I struggle to get support is because I can compartmentalize. I don't like to go talk to other people unless I can, you know, be in a good mood. Because it's not pleasant for anyone when I'm not. And, like, there's one person who I trust to see me at my worst. And, like, today I was so hungry, and then that stressed me out, and then, like, there was a problem in getting the food done, and it made me completely awful and mean. And luckily we have developed a relationship where I can say to him, like, I'm feeling really stressed out. For some reason, this is really upsetting me. Please don't talk to me right now because I'm gonna blow up on you, and I don't want to do that. And he can, like, take that at face value and be like, okay, leave me alone. So finally got to eat, and then after I ate was just totally exhausted. And so I had to lay down for like half an hour. And so I'm experimenting, like, with what can I and what can't I do. Listening to books still remains the best option at the moment. I thought I could do paper books, but Tuesday, that was what ended up putting me over the edge. So app.speechify.com is still my best friend. And yeah, checking in all the time. Am I getting more inflammation? Am I getting a headache? Have I had my water? Have I had my protein? Lay down to rest. So, like, after I ate, I was so tired, and so I listened to some texts for half an hour afterwards, and then I went to the gym, and that helped a lot. I'm getting rambly now because I lost track of where I'm going and what I was trying to say. Luckily, moving my body seems to help. And if I count movement practices, then I actually got more in last week because I went to like a somatics class, which is really like a workout class. And then I went to a contemporary dance class, and then I went to an actual somatics class. And that one we did exercises from like the Feldenkrais. So, no, not that one, the Alexander technique. And that one I took at the studio that I said I was gonna reach out to. So down south, it ended up only being a 40-minute drive, so that was fine. It was such a pretty drive. And so, like, I tried listening to a podcast on the way there. That was too much input. So just drove in silence. The frost-covered trees were so beautiful. It's on the highway, so I didn't have to think too much. It was a very gentle class. The contemporary dance class. Luckily, I had earplugs in my bag. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to do that one. But with the earplugs, it was good. So moving, I guess I got like 3 hours ish, a little bit more, I guess, of movement practices in. And especially the contemporary dance class and the somatics, that's maybe or maybe not a somatics class. That one is really good because those are in my town and I go to them regularly, and so there's kind of this expectation, not an expectation like you better be there, but like if I'm not there, it would be noticed. So that's really nice to have, and that's part of like the community aspect of being in relationship with other people. And then the real somatics class, or the like official somatics class, that one I had prepaid for, which is why I went to that one. I think that's it. I sent out a charming note today, last week before my body was like, this is my limit. I had gone onto Google Scholar and I was searching. I don't remember exactly what I was searching for. I think I was searching for enchantment related to Sylvia Federici, and I stumbled upon someone's final dissertation, and they were talking about dance and activism and enchantment. And I was like, oh my god, this is perfect. And so I downloaded it, and then I started listening to it, and it is so good. It's such an inspiration. It gives me some great jumping off points, and like Sylvia Federici has talked about dance, and there were quotes from her talking about dance and movement, and I was like, oh my god, I had no idea. So I sent out a little charming note to the guy who wrote that, just saying like, thank you, you taught me a couple of things I didn't know, and I'm really excited to learn more. I appreciate your work. Okay, now I'm just mumbling on and on and on. I feel like maybe there was one more thing that I wanted to say, and I don't know. I did, as part of my experiments, to try to see like what does and what does not trigger inflammation and headaches and pain. I went to Staples and I got this kind of like I don't know what it is. It's like a special stationery. So it's got like the main spot, and then a Q column, and then a summary column. Because that's the main problem with handwriting things, is like it's hard to edit, right? So this gives space to like add some little things on the side. But I guess the main takeaway is that we don't fail to the level of exterior systems, we fail to the level of interior systems, and we have to take care of them, and we have to treat our bodies nicely and our minds nicely, and our minds are part of our bodies. And I do have planned, I did another somatics class that I totally forgot about, mostly because I was irritated by it. But it inspired me to do a very unrelated somatics writing workshop. I haven't taught a class since August, and so I designed a new one, and so I'll be announcing that soon. It's going to be based on the Wheel of Fortune, which is the tarot card of the year. Some people are saying that the Magician is the card of the year because 2 + 2 + 6 = 10, which breaks down to 1. but if we're using the tarot has 21 major arcana, so you keep going till you reach 21 and then you go back. So the Wheel of Fortune is actually the card of the year, and I'm excited. It's different than workshops I've offered in the past. This one is actually going to incorporate some movements, and I did it myself, and I liked it, and so I'm looking forward to putting it out there. I have got to stop rambling. See you next time. Ciao.